From the land down under, with the rock at its centre, comes the little Aussie watchman. On TLAW today, the Australian media blackout and extreme bias on the Syrian crisis has become deafening. This crisis has increased significantly since Russia, Iran and Syria have really begun to decimate the American-backed radical Muslim militants or rebels. Very little is seen in our Australian newspapers other than the occasional snippet to say Syria's second largest city, Aleppo, is about to fall. Of course, the truth is quite different. Aleppo was the second largest city in Syria and the largest Christian city until ISIS and the conglomeration of other foreign-backed forces swept in. It fell then. It is now being liberated. This is one of the towns where Christians were crucified, impaled, raped and beheaded. ISIS and foreign-backed radical Muslim militants had very similar beliefs and causes. It is well known that fighters often swap between the two, and certainly munitions provided to non-ISIS militants seem to fall into the hands of ISIS militants on a regular basis. It is time the West stops pretending that they are different forces with different motivations. Given the latest success of the indigenous citizens against the overseas-backed foreign mercenaries, both Turkey and Saudi Arabia have begun talking up the potential of putting their forces in Syria, otherwise known as a ground invasion of Syria. They say it is to combat ISIS, but it is quite clear that these forces would be used to stop the advance of the Russian alliance. Already Turkey have been caught shelling Syrian and Kurdish forces to help their radical Muslim militant buddies in Syria. Russia claims there are Turkish forces building up on the Syrian-Turkish border and that Saudi Arabia is about to host an exercise involving 350,000 troops in the north of their country. None of these developments seem to be of any or very little interest to the highly parochial Western media. To report on such things may open the eyes of many to see just who is providing finances to the radical Muslim militants who have devastated Syria to satisfy the bloodlust of their demonic god. What is left unsaid is why would Turkey and Saudi Arabia consider coming up against the highly trained and more advanced Russian military? There can only be one answer. They believe they are going to be backed up by NATO, in particular the USA. This has the hallmarks of a major world war, and it is not surprising that it is being whitewashed by the Western media. It is Russia's intervention that is causing the humanitarian crisis, they say. It is Russia's bombardment that is disrupting peace, they say. The truth, again, is quite different. The humanitarian crisis was caused by the indiscriminate foreign support for radical Muslim militants in Syria. If Russia does not help quell these bloodthirsty savages, then they would be just continuing their slaughter throughout the Middle East. If you are a Christian, it is time to be on your knees for your Christian brethren in Syria and look for opportunities to help them financially. Are you willing to pay that price?